Today we have a practical episode. We talk about agents that automate your HR process, your sales, or your marketing, or even this podcast, what I can automate. So the general thing is AI agents are the small helpers that you can use this as empowering you in areas where you are not as good. So our guest today is Anirudh Narayan, and he's Chief Growth Officer and co-founder of Lyzr AI, and he talks us through how you can use AI to make a lot of the things you do, uh, like in one go, better, like making an agent and that helps you do your stuff. Welcome back to another episode of the Beginner's Guide to AI, and it's Dietmar on the microphone again. And let's just give the microphone to Ani and see what great things he has to say. So I can talk a lot about Ani, but the best thing is he tells you something about himself. But first of all, welcome to the podcast, Ani.
Hey, thank you for having me and thank you for being patient. I know I had a snafu earlier on, but yes, thank you for having me.
Those things happen, but it's great to have the ability to talk about distances to people and interview them. And the first question I have for you, which is actually really interesting for me myself, what did get you into AI? Why AI?
Good question. I think I've always been a little curious about, I guess, latest tech. I think when blockchain came out, obviously, like a lot of, I did trade a little bit in cryptos. We tried building like a NFT stack for like something called Matt Pickle Society. And I think the whole chat GPT hula or this momentum around it, I think started around 2022. And as soon as it came out, I think the first thing that I did was like start playing around with it, went back and forth. And from then on, somehow, I was like, okay, there will be a need. At that point, I remember there were like already like 100 AI tools that were pretty popular in the market. And I remember over like the next 3 months, there were like 1,000 of them. And I was like, wow, there should be a place where people can curate and pick a tool that they really can use. So I started playing around with a lot of tools, and I was like, oh, this one is better than the other, or this one has these limitations, right? And I would write about it. And then that led to the evolution of creating like an AI tool marketplace. So that was like my first curiosity leading to something which could be monetizable, which was called Everything AI. And then I was like, okay, today and I remember 2023, suddenly I was like, it's so easy with AI tools to move from 0 to 1 to scale. Like, oh, you had, let's say, a Looker to build out your brand, right? You had, let's say, there was a tool called Adioma, which was actually used for more infographics, but like Gamma came out with its deck. So like suddenly it was like, hey, I have an idea. I could use Framer for creating videos. Sorry, Framer for creating websites. All of that sequential piece became very clear for entrepreneurs. So actually that led to also saying, okay, I want to teach entrepreneurs how to move from 0 to 1 to scale. So using AI. So that's how it kind of led to this journey of being curious and leading to the space. And now it's a gold rush, right? There's so much happening in the space right now.
So in the end, you founded, or you're a co-founder of Lyzr, and you had the idea to make things easier for firms, creating agents, huh? The big topic
Yeah.
for
If
2025.
yeah. I mean, Lyzr actually, if you want, I can tell you a little bit about Lyzr. If that's helpful, Ditmar. And so one of my friends, actually, I finished my first, I finished my undergrad in 2008. And the person who started Lyzr's name is Shiva. I met him there for the first time. And I remember we both started off as software engineers, but he was also selling t-shirts as a side business. And so Shiva and I have kept in touch over multiple different things over the last 15 years. And then when he started this, I was like, man, he has the technical chops. And he was doing something which was people wanted private chat GPTs, people wanted a private perplexity, which could be used in enterprise. And that's when I was like, okay, what he's doing is pretty awesome. Can I figure a way out to partner with him? And then that's when it led to me joining Shiva at Lyzr around 2023 December.
Ah, yeah. So I interrupted you. You wanted to say something. This is then I came up with Lyzr. You were. There was something.
Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah, so Lyzr actually comes from the word analyzer. So it was a so initially Lyzr was a data analyzer product, and then we pivoted into a platform that helps you build agents. Because at the core of it, the future is going to be, you will most probably have an AI workforce. You'll most probably have sales automated completely. Dietmar should be able to build his one person, I mean, technically solo $1 million business, right? With agents and with AI tools. And that became exciting. So we said, in a gold rush, you want to build shovels, I guess. So that's when we were like, hey, why don't we build a platform out? So I think in the non-technical world, a good way to think about it, maybe Dietmar, is when everybody wanted to go online and build a website, it makes sense to maybe build a WordPress or build a Shopify and then offer templates at scale. So that kind of led to the evolution of Lyzr. Today, we are essentially enabling people to build their workflows through pre-built agents through the platform. So for developers, imagine it's a platform where you're like, oh, I can quickly build out an agent. And for non-developers, it's like, oh, I already have a template. I already have a pre-built agent that I can just plug and play and start using, and then connect to different tools and then build a workflow.
Can you take a step back and say what's an agent? What's an agent?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a great question. So, uh, I mean, agent became popularized because of Agent Smith from The Matrix, which in some sense could be an agent as well. But I think the way to think about it is in the non. So today, let's say most SaaS applications are like booking an app on Uber. So what that means is today, if I want to move from point A to point B, I would get on the Uber app. I would pick my specific location. Then I would say, okay, I want to go home. I would pick my drop location. The driver would come, and then he or she would use Google Maps and then take us there. Right. So that's essentially what most SaaS applications are like today. Agents are like driverless cars. And they're like, in the hardware world, they're like, say, you're let's say sitting in the room and you're like, okay, I want to go to Potsdamer Platz in Berlin, right? And then it automatically figures out where you are. You don't need an application. It just takes you there. The car arrives, and it's a driverless car that takes you there. So that's, I guess, in the non-technical world, the way to think about agents. But I think in the actual definition of an agent is, think of it as like a self-sustaining, like an individual autonomous product, which consists of, which let's say is connected to a large language model. It's connected to, let's say, tools, and it's able to, and you can decide what role you want it to do, and you can give it tasks, and it can decide how to do the task on its own, and then give you the output.
Kind of has a
So if you want, I
brain.
can. Sorry.
It kind of has a brain and does the stuff itself then. And
Yeah, I think a great example could be is, let's say if you have a research agent, Dietmar, and I upload, let's say, your email address to this research agent, and let's say the research agent is connected to all these sources, let's say Twitter, LinkedIn, Google, right? All these places can do research. It is smart enough to find information about you by going through all these different platforms, and then being like, oh, this platform has the most information about you. Put that in an order, then finally give it to you in a customized format and say, this is how you should write an intro email, or this is what the research looks like for Dietmar. So it's smart enough in that sense.
but yeah. Another thing is, I think I see you were in Berlin. You know your way around Potsdamer Platz, and I was
Yeah.
great.
I
Um,
was I was in Berlin for 3 months. I should have brought that up earlier. I was there
Ooh.
in 2018 actually for a bit, and used to work out of WeWork at Berlin.
Ah, yeah, cool. No, there's a WeWork. Yeah, and in
Yeah.
Potsdamer Platz, I know. Yeah. No, but coming back to the agents, I saw you have this use case like the HR agent that automates the process. Maybe you can walk us through this because I think this is really a thing where people struggle if they don't have a big HR department or none of all how to do things. Can you give us this as an extra for the people out there? I think they all have to hire. This would be a good example.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a great way to think about it today with most, if you look at HR departments today, what do they have? They have a head of HR, right? Who's essentially doing performance management. They're the business partnering with all the leaders. They are sourcing and hiring specific individuals. They're obviously taking care of the culture of the company. If somebody leaves or joins, they're doing the onboarding and the offboarding in some sense, right? So today, the beauty about agents is it's quite flexible in terms of what task it can do, right? And you could put a set of agents together and then automate a workflow. And in HR, what you're seeing is the number one use case that is actually kicking in for HR today is actually the resume filtering and the scheduling of the interviews. So today, if you had, let's say, I posted a job on LinkedIn and I posted a job on another platform, let's say like Monster or Indeed, all those resumes come and sit on, let's say, something like an application tracker system. So now you can use an agent and be like, okay, filter all these resumes based on these 5 criteria. Sorry. Yeah, based on these 5 criteria. And what it can do is it'll give you these, hey, here are the top 5 resumes you should be looking at. And let's say my criteria is based on location, experience, industrial focus experience, let's say. And yeah, so it'll filter these resumes. And then if it's connected to a Calendly or a cal.com, you can be like, hey, these resumes look good. I want you to automatically schedule interviews with them by looking at my calendar. So you're seeing you're seeing resume filtering, you're seeing onboarding being automated for companies. You're seeing exit interviews, which is more on the, so after, let's say you finish the exit interview, sometimes people want to be just brutally honest about their experience with the company. So you can have an agent that does the last mile feedback after the conversation. So there are a lot of these use cases, and then companies are starting with processes which require least amount of, like, they, I don't think people trust AI completely. So they want to start with where I don't have to expose my private data first, right? So they start with, let's say, like, yeah, I can tell you with like sales and marketing kind of becomes like the first use case. And then from there, people jump into HR and more business process focus on the agent automation side.
Mhm. So you have like a sales agent that filters or that looks for the people who might buy your software or your product, and then the next step is you look who's like in the right business and where you have expertise, and until up till the writing and making an appointment. Actually, yeah. So you just basically push a button and you have a result, and everything in between happens on your platform then.
So our platform is more like a workflow builder. So we end up working with the client to build that out with a services angle. But let's say if it takes someone to 2 months to build that out with our platform, essentially you could build it out in 3 days, right? Or you can connect all these things quickly and have like a decent output that you could look at in a week or two. But Ditpal, I think what you're seeing today is there still has to be a human in loop review. People look at it because anything that goes out, you want to make sure you're able to vet it. And so you have that now in customer support, you have that in AI SDRs, which is sales development representative in terms of, hey, there's a first time cold email that I'm sending out. I want to review that. So you're seeing a lot of that, but there isn't, but everyone's kind of trying to move towards AI automation. And I can tell you between you and me, like, and I know this is a podcast, but a lot of people talk about, oh my God, AI is leading to 10x productivity, people are actually coming and saying, hey, can AI replace people? I don't want 12 folks in this team. Can I do it to 2 people? Which is the scary part in terms of people might be losing jobs going forward.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, so there's yeah, you could lose your job, or there's new jobs that be created, and this is the future will show if this is an equilibrium or not. Or it's new stuff we can do. There's actually, I personally think it's a problem, but one has to use the chances, and this is actually the idea of the podcast, to educate people on possibilities. Because I also think, yeah, then you can make your own firm. If you have an agent working for you, you can build up your own idea, which you couldn't before. It's like I think I read in your LinkedIn that the business case, the typical chatbot, is the first line, the thing that people do. So you had like six different areas where people use
Use
chatbots,
case.
yeah, use cases, and with using them, you can actually start your own thing. I think it's
For sure. For sure. I think that's the beauty of and that's the beauty of AI today, which is it can help people that are already entrepreneurial be a lot more DIY and be more independent. But that means there's a need for people to be entrepreneurial. And I think that means you have to be good at connecting the dots and being, how can I create value and make money? And that's not an easy shift in thinking. A lot of people's thinking is, can I get a job? Can I join a larger company? And I think that's the paradigm shift that we'll see, which may be scary in the short term in terms of people losing jobs and stuff.
yeah, yeah. This is a whole mindset shift. This is interesting. I didn't think about it because I started my business life as an entrepreneurship consultant, teacher, whatever. And I think there was always the question, can you teach people to be entrepreneurs? And I think now we are much stronger at that point. We have to teach the people. Yeah.
What do you think? How much how easy is it to teach people to start something on their own and actually think about making revenue as a skill?
It's hard, but I have the feeling there's people who don't want to be entrepreneurs. There's people who are natural entrepreneurs, and there's a huge gray area where you have people who are, let's say, a little bit risk averse. And if you give them tools and the risk is not really high, they would at least try something out. Maybe they have a job and do that in their spare time, they do something. And I think this is where things come in. And if you then have a tool helping you, like building the stuff, and this reduces risk actually. If you know you can do things it's hard to do sales, to sales pitches, going to people. But if you have a sales agent who can you can scale, I think that is for many is really helpful. And I think there's lots of things. I mean, you probably have some cases there where you say, okay, this would fit. People could use that in small firms and entrepreneurial settings or so. I think that a certain amount of people will, a big, not a small one, 20-30% of the population you can motivate to do something, I guess.
For sure, for sure. I think that you hit the nail on the head, because I have friends who are, let's say, good at building products, but they aren't necessarily great at, oh my God, do I need to write on LinkedIn? Do I have to like write emails and
It's
send it? So like
exactly.
you're right. So I think
Yeah.
all the agents can start, or AI can start doing a lot of the heavy lifting that you don't like doing,
Mm.
and you can focus most probably on the core stuff. But yeah, you'll you'll see smaller teams being able to do a lot more today, which I think is very exciting as well.
I have a funny case in my head. I was contacted by it's a competition, business plan competition, and they have a chat, but it's not a bot. They really do live chats there. People always assume they are bots, and then they have to do the work. They explain that they are not bots, but the questions are basically they're just now building an agent or a chat bot, a simple one that gives the answers, because they have their work and then gets interrupted by someone just chatting with them for some simple questions. I need this in this file or whatever. So
Mm.
this is actually a thing. If I think about a small firm, if you have a good automations like a simple chatbot starting there, it really helps the people because they can focus on what they're good at. Yeah, that's what you said. do I have to post on LinkedIn or
Yeah.
whatever, or even if I have like, then I have the LinkedIn post, or let's say I have a blog post, I have to it's expected that I post on LinkedIn and I post on here and there and whatever, even make a video, and then I can do everything mostly automated. That helps people get exposure
Yeah.
easier. Yeah.
I so one is on the entrepreneurial side. Even in so like our team at Lyzr, we're everybody gets obviously hired for a specific role that they're good at, right? And then, but I think what we are trying to get everyone to do is how do you become self-sufficient? You should be able to write content, right? You should be able to put stuff on LinkedIn. You should be able to create your videos if you can, right? Like, and so less dependency on teams for you to put stuff out. Like vibe coding, there's this cool thing that's picked up right now. Like in our team, we're running sessions on how do you use, let's say, a lovable or a bolt to build prototypes, which is amazing because as a suddenly from a marketing standpoint, I'm like, oh, how do we use that for lead generation? Can I create a marketing strategy agent? And let's say I've put in lots and lots of content of like different experts around the world. And then you can be like, hey, I'm in B2B SaaS and these are my competitors. What should be my marketing strategy? Right. So I think what's possible, like, as long as people, and it can be overwhelming. There's so much that's happening on a weekly basis. Uh, but I think it's about also funneling that information that comes to you and being like, okay, this is noise, and oh, this is actually a new innovation that's happened. Uh, but yeah, anyway, I guess I'm digressing. But what we're seeing today is people, let's say if they had one or two skills, I think they're forced or being asked to have 5 or 6 skills because of AI and AI tools that you can use.
I love it. This is the idea that before you had, like, I don't know, in marketing you called it the T-shaped marketer. You know everything about marketing, but you have one specialty. And now you have to be the generalist more or less because you can fill up all the holes with AI to a certain amount. Yeah. Generalist is the new thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Great idea. Yeah.
for sure, for sure.
No, cool. This is yeah, we all need to do different stuff now. That's that's really interesting for people out there. Do learn a lot, but and there's so many possibilities. You talked about vibe coding. I did build something with Replit, which is basically the I think it's the most easiest one. I tried Cursor and Lovable. You have to know more about coding, but if you don't know anything like me, Replit is a good start. I built some many things didn't work,
Interesting.
but 2 or 3 really worked. It's crazy. I have my own, not let's say Dropbox, but file uploader. I have a transcription program for the podcast, and so it's without coding
Hey,
anything, and
nice.
it's cool. It's yeah, this vibe coding is one of the examples. There's this term vibe marketing. It's a little discussion, but the idea is if you don't need to learn so much, you need to learn the basics, and then you have a tool to do it. And I think this is
And you know what? And the best, and sorry, Didma, and the best way to actually learn is for you to build something. People, because you might be like, okay, I want to build, let's say, like how you were talking about like a transcription agent or a transcriptor using Replit, right? Suddenly you'd be like, oh, maybe I need to connect to some content. Okay, now that becomes knowledge base. So I think building kind of funnels a lot of these learnings on, oh, okay, these are the large language models. This is what maybe agents are. Oh, Replit has this. Now, okay, between Replit, you spoke about Cursor and Lovable. Like, I think starting from a point that is purely what you want to build, I think that's a great way to say, I want to like pick up the skills and knowledge around the space versus saying, well, I'm going to learn how to generative AI and I'm going to do a course. Like trying to do a course, I think is like, it's not, I don't think it's productive anymore to do the end to end. I mean, it does help in some sense as a 101. Uh, but from an application standpoint, I think, yeah, I think the best way is for you to like start building something.
yeah, yeah, really. Just do it. This is like in my entrepreneurship classes, I teach the people the one important thing is just do it. Let's go out and try things, and then you know more about it. And actually, I now have another idea because I make this podcast, I have a transcript, and the next thing, and this is becoming really agentic, then I should teach you to make an article out of that. I can upload, or even better, the agent has a button. I can read it and I can correct it, and then one button it uploads it and it publishes it. Maybe takes some pictures or so. But this would be a great agent because this is like going into marketing. Yeah.
Yeah. See, if you look at the podcasting process, what is it? You could have an agent to send out emails to find guests for your podcast. Once somebody agrees, you can have it scheduled on Calendly. And then you could have an automatic question generator based on your theme. And then let's say you do this on a Riverside or a Zoom, you could have something like an Opus Clips that cuts it down into shorter clips. You could, as you said, like you could have this agent that transcribes, converts into a blog, converts into Twitter threads, convert to LinkedIn. Like imagine Ditmar could now start doing technically 7 podcasts a week and like put out a podcast every 2 days in terms of the output, right? So I think that's the beauty. Yeah. So people
Yeah.
need to get on. Yeah, people need to really like start stepping up. Like because if Ditmar is doing this and he's creating great content, then you're gonna have people being like, okay, my God, how is he doing it? And people can feel overwhelmed if they haven't got into the motion of using AI, right? So
This is where it would be the podcast case, and I really have to work on that. Yeah, this is because I'm bad at the advertising front. Really, like I basically send out a newsletter, and I did not do it. And the short videos I'm behind. But coming back to Lyzr, because this is just my case. But you have a lots of I read about how many thousand conversations you had there. What would you think is the main case, or what do most people do on your platform then?
so our most popular product in 2024 was Jason, excuse me, which was our AI sales development representative agent. Because with sales, it's maybe outbound, which is basically sending out emails to cold prospects, is maybe the most repetitive job, which doesn't require as much data privacy that you can do at scale.
Mhm.
So I would say across the board with AI, it became about coding and it became about sales initially, and then lots of content generation because of generative AI.
Mhm.
So at least from a Lyzr use case standpoint, 70% of our use cases was in sales and marketing. And in the sales piece, it was primarily the piece around, can you do research about this prospect and can you send them customized emails and set meetings? But there were variations of that. Like some people would be like, hey, I want to send it in multiple languages. Or I want, when I'm doing research, I wanted to do research, let's say, of all the different, um, let's say there are different, like, let's say for startups, it might be like, I want you to look at Crunchbase. I want you to look at CB Insight. So like for specific types of use cases, I might want to look at specific platforms. There was one company which was like, hey, for us, the embassies around the world are a big source. They are our prospects. So I want you to find all the embassies around the world, find their email address, and then send out customized email. So that's where I think Lyzr comes in, because not everybody has like a standalone, here is the exact, like with SaaS, here's a plug and play. They always want
Mhm.
custom. With marketing, Ditmer, we had the number one use case was actually like SEO. So either can you create blogs at scale using keywords,
Mhm.
or can you
Mhm.
do repurposing of content? So when I say repurposing of content, or every 3 months, I want you to refresh this content based on,
Great.
whether traffic
Yes.
is dropped. Or the other one is I want the same content I want in French, I want in German, I want in Spanish, because I want to do a global version of the website,
Mhm.
right? So a lot of the SEO stuff becomes a great use case. And then the standard stuff is blog generation and repurposing for social formats. And that works great for services focused companies, especially because imagine you are a Gen AI implementation provider. You're very heavy on that, but you don't necessarily, let's say, have a marketing team. So like they're like, hey, I should be able to put out content and automate that piece. So those are the top 2 use cases. HR has started picking up, which we spoke about earlier.
Mhm.
But where we we want to add most value is actually in the business process side. If you truly see as a business for us as Lyzr or others, like see with marketing and sales, you can very easily, sales is usually the first agent to get cut or the first SaaS tool to have churn, because they're like, hey, I'm not seeing results. Or, oh, I'm getting the same open rates or click-through rates, but you haven't reduced my costs, right? So where, however, you're seeing most values, if you can go into the business process automation side, where I go deep into your layer of, I connect to different databases. So let's say hypothetically, one is, uh, let's say an enterprise wants to do search internally across all their data, and they didn't have that capability.
Yeah.
You want to be there.
Yeah.
So that's the next set of use cases that we're seeing. And our focus is becoming a lot around banking and insurance. So claims processing, refund, like standard chat support, all of that start picking up in terms of
Yeah, this is interesting. Yeah, this was my next question. The industries, but banking, insurance, interesting, because you have a lot of data already there, and you can do something with it. And in general, I see a lot of things of happening. Health is. Do you have something in health, or I think you have to?
health.
Because this would be the third.
Mm,
Normally, people talk about banking, insurance, and health. So I just asked. Might be that it
we
doesn't really
have,
work.
I mean, I'm sure there are use cases in health. Actually, sorry, we do have one with a company. It's called ABI Health. And but that's more on the, again, also on the processing of insurance after a surgery, and using, let's say, like, so let's say their use cases, um a lot of people that have interacted with us after, like, so they're connected to different hospitals, and they want to be able to, first, so they want to do two things. They want to be able to sell this platform, like a claims processing kind of platform, to other insurance providers, let's say. And so they want to be able to white label our solution and sell. So that's one option, right? Option number two is they want to use this as a marketing play as well. How do I warm our prospects? How do I tell people who have already interacted with us that, hey, here are new offers that are available? So, but I think to your specific point though, Ditmar, in terms of health, we haven't done any like which are like highly technical, maybe. Like, I'm sure there are companies that are doing that, but we haven't dabbled in that as much.
Mhm. No, I was just curious. No, this is actually, but it's really interesting. I see the banking actually the industries where already is a lot of data there, and then you use it. And what you also said is interesting, the internal point. So using AI more and more for internal processes. I think that's also a thing. And I think internal process is a good segue into a thing, because I wanted to ask you how you personally use AI. What do you do in daily business or privately? What's the thing your most favorite use case for yourself?
Yeah, great question. Great question, Ditmar. So one is I actually use, I mean, this is not AI as much. I use this tool called Whisper Flow, which is like a voice, like a dictation. So wherever I place my cursor and I start speaking, it automatically transcribes and converts it into text. So I use that for Slack. I use that for emails. I use that primarily for ChatGPT. On the desktop version, I don't have the voice. I only have it on my app. Uh, my biggest, I mean, the number one product that I use is ChatGPT, but I use it for building out a lot of the marketing strategy for every new like campaign that we're doing. Second is we create a lot of playbooks using ChatGPT, which I think is cool. So like if I wanted, like you saw those cases that I put out for HR workflows, we created like an HR playbook, which is like a 50 pager. I created that in literally 2 days, end to end. And those workflows, ChatGPT has gotten so far today is those workflows get created on Mermaid, which is another tool. And you can connect that to another tool called Excalidraw, and then build a lot of those nice workflows that you see. So, and definitely ChatGPT. I use Gamma for a lot of the deck content creation. What else? I mean, I use Stella for like content creation with video, but at the core of it, I think each of our teammates use it differently. I use it for a lot of the research. If I showed you my folders, I mean, I use it for the most random things also. Like, hey, these are the goals I want to achieve in life. How should I prioritize? Right.
Great. Yeah.
And I think we are great consultants to other folks, but we're not great consultants to ourselves. So I think hopefully if AI can start doing some of the heavy lifting there, right? Yeah.
There's a German saying is about a shoemaker who has the worst shoes, and yeah, so yes, I know
Yeah.
where you are
Yeah.
there. My old folders with
Yeah.
stuff, and where later review, and I'm like, okay, that I did already. That's the worst if you do things twice because you forgot you already asked like life goals or whatever. And you look, but it's funny to see what did you do there. Yeah, no, but great. Yeah?
Right. How do you use it, Itmar? How do
I
you use AI today?
Actually, the most important case is basically here the podcast because I started as an AI generated podcast. The listeners might know it. Now it's like helping, like finding headlines, making the summaries, and this is all the things podcast related. It should be more in the marketing. I just realized I should use it more for content creation or so. That's one thing. I but it's hard to say that the case. The last thing is I ask people. I would before do a Google search on things I'm interested in. I hear word and I'm like, where does that word come from? And so basic random things. And for business, it's like I do digital marketing, so it's like creating Google Ads, like making better headlines. Google has a tool in there, but it somehow doesn't work. It's always says it doesn't have enough data. So I'm like, okay, no? Then let's go external and ask ChatGPT, and we just build a little bit of a simple SEO tool for our clients because this is like NGOs, smaller firms. They don't can't afford those €100 big suites SEO, and also they don't understand it. So we try to create a simple tool. It's also another thing. We just have a version and try that out, and yeah, but it's so like even with
A lot on marketing the
lyrics
podcast.
of yeah, no, the last thing I think was for my child and lyrics of a song she had in kindergarten, and we didn't remember some things, and so we asked ChatGPT for it. It's everything. It's really everything in there. It's
Nice.
funny. Yeah.
That's cool.
So
Actually, we've also started using HeyGen and Levin Labs, where
yeah.
I've created my avatar, and that's going on YouTube. So like now it's like, hey, here's trending content, put that in, YouTube script created, and then there's automated my avatar essentially is talking, and then Levin Labs is the voice creation from an AI standpoint. So I think that's also kicked in. I can show you some videos also later, and that's maybe actually a great service to also offer it,
Oh yeah,
not just for
this is
brands but
actually a thing.
for individuals.
No, but do send me some links. I would put them in the show notes, and actually then people can actually look at how it works. Yeah, with Hagen I also experimented a little bit. Yeah, and actually if I didn't use the sound of 11 Labs, but Hagen sound itself, it was not that good. And talking about it, my I say, okay, I mean, I use ChatGPT, but the most spectacular tool I use is Adobe Podcast. Everything I do, if it be audio or video, I put it in there and it removes all the echoes or background noises. Such a great tool. It's even, I have the paid version because I just throw in the videos, but it's even free to use for normal use cases. So all the people out there, if you make video, people don't video can be bad, but if the sound is bad, they change to next video to another channel. So work on that. And
Yeah.
Adobe Podcast is really it's such a great tool. So simple. You just upload it and you can have a level meter and then say, okay, how much do you want the AI to work with the echo? And it's great. So yeah, this is actually what I do with the podcast. They all
So good
get
to hear.
optimized, and this is like studio quality afterwards. It's crazy. So yeah, Annie, but one
So good to hear.
thing, this is the good thing, the good side of AI. I have a question about the bad side of AI. Do you think
Sure.
Terminator or Matrix scenario is realistic, where we humans get extinguished or live in a zoo?
Yeah, very. It's a great question, and I mean that's why I guess people are coming out and talking about AI needs to be high. There needs to be high governance around AI, right? Or there's a reason why there's $500 billion that's going into the Stargate project to build AI infra in the US. So it's becoming almost as a signaling of soft power, which is people who control AI and people who control defense will essentially control the world. So I think there is a reason why everyone's kind of trying to say, how do I build those capabilities internally? Now, is there a doomsday scenario? I'm very possible. I think the short term, my bigger concern is like a lot of people will lose jobs, and the ones that are good and productive will become a lot more productive. So that delta between, if you want to call it the rich and the middle class, I think that will continue to grow, which I think is which might cause inflation, which will cause like can cause some form of economic collapse. I think that's one. But as a Terminator situation, I think it because then it comes down to how political this gets, right? And I think I don't think at any point in time in life we have had political equilibrium across countries or the world. So and I think of this as, hey, like initially you had sticks that you could use to fight, then you had guns, and now it's like, hey, now you've 1000x the way you could fight, right? So then it'll come down to intentions. But I don't know whether there'll be a situation where human like AI will take over the world and humans will be, in bunkers. I think it'll be a scenario where it'll be human versus human with AI as the as the nos, as the momentum, as the energy behind the two, and then that can cause a lot of damage, maybe. Uh, but then the other one that you spoke about is there will be an energy crisis that we need to fix, and there may be the other matrix-like situation, which I don't know if you remember, where they show this, where babies are offering computer energy to power the matrix. So that could all. I recently I spoke to one of my colleagues, Rob, and he was telling me at MIT they're already working at a stem cell research where they can create synthetic brains, and the synthetic brains can be energy sources. And I'm like, wow, that is mental, right? So like, is that going to be a way that solves energy problems? So when uh, I hope not. I hope I don't live long enough to see it. But we might live long enough also, so who knows?
It is a scary thought. It's not a brain reactor, kind of lots of small brains in the. But yeah, no, but you're
Yeah.
totally right on the main point that that is probably human against human. The AIs, they're not inherently they're not evil. It's we. It's more like the humans. Yeah. No, that's a great thought, and we have to unfortunately end again over the time. And the most important thing, besides everything, is where can we find you, Ani? Where can we find Lyzr and
Yeah, I mean,
you?
Lyzr is easy to find. It's lyzr.ai. That's lyzr.ai. And in terms of me, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. So yes, so feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. Uh, I'm actually maybe a lot more responsive on LinkedIn than on emails. So yeah, so just find me, shoot me a text, and then happy to help.
That's great. So, Ani, thank you for the great insights. I learned a lot, and let's see how the agentic revolution goes on, and what interesting thoughts come out of this, and what you build for great products. So, thank you to be on the interview here.
Nirma, thank you so much for having me and reaching out and having this conversation. But yes, I hope your podcast does well. I hope you figure out all the ways to agentify your workflows as well, so this can start scaling at the next level.
I have a
Yeah,
homework now. Great, thank
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Great. Thanks again, Ani. That was really insightful. I learned a lot what I have to do myself for my podcast, but also the way from generalist, from specialist to generalist, and how I helps you uncover things and use things and use abilities you didn't have before. Yeah, so go to Lyzr AI and see what you can do with an agent. And don't forget to go to argoberlin.com/newsletter and get all the episodes in your mailbox and some tips and tricks from me. Also follow on your podcasting app so you never miss one of those great episodes. Hope to have you back in the next episode. Signing off, Dietmar from argo.berlin.